Oh, I've just realised I've got the radio on. Hold on a moment. Hold on while I turn it on. Okay, I'm going to make, I was asked to give you the recipe for the salmon and watercress flan, which I did the other week. It is absolutely delicious. My poor family, of course, are having to eat everything I want to show you, but I'm going to make it. So the first thing I want to say is it's supposed to be smoked trout. I couldn't get smoked trout, and I'm sure you can get it in Waitrose. I just don't go to Waitrose, and I couldn't be bothered to drive in either direction for 7 miles to get to Waitrose. But this is delicious, which is what I've used. I used before and I'm going to use today. It is Scottish maple and thyme smoked salmon. It's absolutely gorgeous. It worked really, really well. I'll show it to you. And it comes in a pack. It's sliced. It's, oh, hold on, hold on. I'll just change my other camera. So smooth and slick, this operation, isn't it? Can you cope with how smooth and slick I am? Right, this is what it looks like. It's sliced smoked salmon. It's much pinker than this. It doesn't look very pink here, but it is lovely colour. And it smells really nice of the thyme and stuff. So that's the exact amount you want. It's 125 grams. That's how it comes in Sainsbury's. So fair enough if you want to go to Waitrose and do smoked trout, all well and good. But there you go, I didn't. And it works, so all you need to know is that it works. The first thing, I'm not going to show you every step of the way because it's fairly obvious. The first thing is you need 200 grams of plain flour and 100 grams of butter or fat of your choice, or a packet of short crust pastry. I can make pastry. I can't make it nearly as well as my mother, who made the most wonderful pastry in the world and taught me, but mine's just not as good as hers. Don't know why, because I've got freezing cold hands, all the right things. I've got a pastry blender, as you know, but my pastry is just never that brilliant. And this is, do you know what? When you've got a million things to do because the kids are coming and I've got loads and loads to do, not the least cleaning the house, which is like a tip. It's easier just to use this. So this is what I'm going to do, and you have to bake it blind. So you want an 8-inch, I think it's 8-inch, you want a fluted flan tin into which you're going to roll your pastry. So I'm going to leave you now to make your pastry, or perhaps roll it, roll out a packet, and come back to you in a moment when we've done that. So I'll leave you in case you're going to be good little girls and make super duper pastry. Good luck to you if you can. I wish I could. I bet I didn't say light the oven at, well, it says here 220. I did it at 200. I certainly didn't do it at 220 for this. And you want a 23 centimetre flan ring. Now my 23 centimetre flan ring is not loose bottomed, so I'm going to line the base of mine just because it makes life easier a bit later down the line. But if you've got a loose bottom one, you're saved a little job. So light the oven, make your pastry, line it in if necessary. See you in a minute. Right, here we go. I've made, what's that? I'm trying to see, oh, that's my flour. Right, so I've lined my tin because at the end, because it's not loose bottom, I want to turn it out. So I'm going to unroll this, much easier than the puff pastry I had such trouble with before. Do you remember? I'm sure you do. Right, and I've got plain flour. Oh, an awful lot of plain flour. Plain flour to roll it out. Hold on, let me just pick most of that up. Put it back in there. Oh dear, right, here we are. Okay, get that out. I'm going to roll this out to line our tin. So obviously it's fine that way, we just need to go a little bit that way, and we don't want it to fall apart like it's very determined to do. So, get all that pastry off there, get all the flour out of the way. Don't want all that much flour. Right. Okay, so I'm going to roll it this way a bit, that way a bit, and see if that's nearly there. Just another little roll, and that will be fine. Okay, so we're going to line the tin with this. Line the tin with this. I'm going to have to get rid of all this flour that I've got on here, but I'll do that with a pastry brush. That won't be an issue. So just line your tin and cut your pastry off using my secret knife that Bob still hasn't found. It's very exciting having a secret knife that he has no idea where it is. Right, so there it is, lined. You're going to prick the base. Haven't got a fork. Excuse me while I get a fork. You're going to prick the base all over. Now I'm sure you're all terribly posh and have super duper baking beans bought from John Lewis's in a nice little tub. Well, I don't. So just so you stop laughing at me, because you laugh at all my gadgets, you can now feel superior if you've got lovely baking beans. I bought them for loads of people. No one's ever bought me baking beans. Now, using this paper, because why wouldn't I? Because it's just sitting there. I've just taken it off the pastry. I have pasta. I've just used pasta shapes. It's just as effective. Oh, I haven't pricked it. Silly fool, I haven't pricked it. It's just as effective. In fact, my mother used to use crusts from the end of loaves. She used to use those to bake blind. So you can use more or less anything you like, although baking beans are the object of choice. And I'm sure Nigella would never use anything else, or Mary Berry, but I use pasta. There we are. I don't know why I've never had any. As I said, I bought them. I think both my kids have them, but not me. So that's it. You're going to put that in the oven on a baking. You're going to put it in the oven for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Now the rest of the pastry you can make whatever you wish with. There's a little bit left. You can make some jam tarts or, you know, whatever. So just save that and do something with it. If you like to do something with it in the 20 minutes, you're very welcome. Once it's baked blind for 20 minutes, you're going to bake it again for another 10 minutes. So while that's faffing about doing that, we're going to make the filling. Okay, now, very annoyingly, I think I said this to you, very annoyingly, it told me how much watercress I needed, and I didn't need half the amount. It said I was really cross because I chopped it all really finely. And then when I looked at it, and I thought, oh, blimey, that's miles. Tons of watercress, can't possibly use all that. And had I left it, I could have added it to the salad that we were having, but it was just chopped into tiny pieces. It was no good at all. So we're going to do the rest of the things. So get a plate and your salmon, and wash your hands in my case. And we're going to flake the salmon and chop the watercress. So as I said, the salmon is in slices if you use this salmon, like what I've got. So it's very easy to flake it. Flake it till you make it. So just flake it up and just check that there's no bones, because obviously there's no guarantee there are no bones, even though they say. So just have a good look through it as you flake it. You want it in really, you know, non-existent pieces, because people want to be able to, oh, you see there's a bone there. So just be aware there'll be the odd bone, and just take them out if you see any, because it's quite unpleasant if you suddenly get a bone in a nice piece of flan. So that's your salmon. And then it says in the recipe 80 grams, I'm sure it says 80 grams, hold on, let me double check. I might be maligning the recipe here, but I'm sure it says 50 grams of watercress. Yes, I bought a bag of 80 grams and I weighed it. I actually weighed out 50 grams because that's, you know, because I'm testing it for you. and it was about twice what I needed. I mean, it really was a ridiculous amount. And the picture of the recipe is they've got it in clumps. They don't obviously chop it very finely. They did it in quite big bits. But I chopped it finely, which I thought was nicer. Now, we had a bit of an issue this week because of, is it because of COVID or is it because of Brexit or what the hell is it because of? You can't buy anything you want at the moment. I couldn't buy any watercress. Why can't you buy watercress? Who knows? But there was none. But what there was, which we are having to make do with, I'm afraid, which I think will be absolutely fine, I got a bag of spinach, watercress and rocket. Spinach, watercress and rocket. And I thought, you know, it'll do. And this is 80 grams, so it's ideal because it shows you this, it's the same size. Unfortunately, Bob put it in the fridge and pushed it to the back, so some of it is frozen. So some of it is going straight in the bin, which is quite aggravating. So all of that has been frozen, is now quite gooey. And I'm going to do probably less than half of this, but actually I thought spinach and rocket would be quite nice. It's young spinach, obviously, and rocket would go really well with the watercress. You get all those nice peppery, sharp, you know, strong flavours, which I think is obviously what you're giving into this. So that's all I'm going to do, and even that I think might be a bit much. I'll take some of these big stalks out. Not great big stalks in it, so pick some of those over. And excuse the screaming if you can hear it, my next door neighbour. Oh, well, it's not her, it's her children. And they've got their cousin over from Italy. Their aunt and their cousin live in Italy, and they haven't seen them for at least 2 years, and the excitement, it was so lovely when they arrived yesterday, the screaming of excitement, it was lovely to hear actually. They were very, very happy to see one another. So I'm just going to chop this up, and so basically you want roughly the same amount as you've got spinach, salmon. As I say, it's up to you how finely you chop it, but I did it quite finely so that it mixed all around and wasn't in great lumps, because if you don't particularly like it, you'll eat a bit of it in with your salmon, but you might not want a great lump of watercress or spinach or whatever, and nothing else. I think this is ideal. So that's how I do it. Okay. So that's it. All chopped and ready, and the salmon's all ready. So you can have that over to one side. It's sounding more like I do. Put this over to one side, and then we won't have to wait for that when we get it ready. So you've got the watercress and you've got the salmon, and now we want to have 4 eggs, 150 grams of cream and 150 grams of milk, and a tablespoon of creamed horseradish. So I'll leave you to get all of that out. You've probably got yours out and ready. I wasn't very organised. Hold on. Slight variation to the recipe going on here. I'm using whole milk because, as you know, I freeze whole milk when I have some, and I've got some pots of whole milk in the freezer. So I'm going to use whole milk, and 150 fluid ounces, mil, whatever, 150 mil is a quarter of a pint, in case you were wondering, and a quarter of a pint of cream. I'm using double cream. And 4 eggs, and a tablespoon of horseradish. The horseradish gives it some bite, which you need. It's really nice to have that bite. If you don't like horseradish, don't worry, because it doesn't actually taste of horseradish, it just tastes good. It just adds to the flavour, and it's really nice with it. So I would definitely not leave it out, even if you say, oh, I don't like horseradish. You might not like it, you know, by the dollop full on your roast beef, but you'll like it in this. So I'm going to whip the eggs up first. I'm just using a loom whisk. add this lot to it. Make sure it's very well combined. You don't want any great lumps of anything anywhere. Make sure it's really well combined. And you want a tablespoon of creamed horseradish, which I have here. I always have horseradish. Bob loves horseradish, so we have it on, he has it on his ham sandwiches, or on more or less anything else actually. He loves horseradish. Very strange boy. Right. I mean, I like it with roast beef, but that's about my limit. But he does like it with ham. Who knew? So, tablespoon. My tablespoon's in the dishwasher. Hold on a moment. No, it's not in the dishwasher. That's good, because I don't think a big tablespoon will go in there. Oh, it will actually. Actually, that's quite good. That's the last of this jar. And I have a new jar waiting in the fridge. I'm just going to use that up. 1 tablespoon, possibly a bit more. That won't hurt. Heat that in, and now you're all ready. And we're just waiting on our pastry. So we'll wait. Contain your soul's impatience. Here we go. It's gone 20 minutes. We're going to take that out and you're going to pop it back in the oven for a further 10 minutes. And leave your baking beans to cool. And then, in fact, I don't have to because they're going in a glass jar. So I'm going to put those back in the glass jar. Except if you drop them, they shatter into a million pieces and go all over the kitchen floor. So that's fun. Right, so that's popped back in, and when it comes out again, we'll be putting the filling in. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute. Right, here's my finished flan. You can't see, unfortunately, try different lighting everywhere. Is that any better? Yes, you can see. It's golden brown. It looks lovely. Now, it's on a baking sheet which I've had in the oven hot. It's been cooking on that baking sheet because then you won't get a soggy bottom, and we don't want that, to quote a certain party. So you scatter your salmon over the base, and you scatter your watercress over the base, or whatever you've got. Whatever greenery you happen to have about your person, you scatter over the base, like this. You notice we haven't added salt or pepper. The fish is salty enough and the watercress is peppery enough, so you don't actually need salt and pepper in this at all, I don't think. I don't eat salt very much anyway, but I really don't think you'll need it. And if people are desperate, they could always add it. And as you can see, that's just nicely covering the base of that. I'll sprinkle this over the top. Comme ça. Like that. And then we very carefully pour on the filling. The reason you've got it on a baking sheet is, of course, it's much easier to get in and out of the oven without spillage if it's on a baking sheet. In fact, it's much easier to get in and out of the oven if you ask someone like my husband, who's got slightly steadier hands, but as he's at the football, I'm all alone. I do it myself. There's some horseradish at the bottom there, that's what I'm scraping out. So there it is, so that's now going back in the oven, which you will lower to 180. She says, suiting the deed to the words, 180. And you pop this back in the oven very carefully. Don't spill it, so she's spilling it. Don't spill it. Okay, and that's it now. That's going to stay in the oven at number 4 for 30 minutes. The filling will then be set and it'll be golden brown. You've seen the photo of it on my Padlet, I know. So you know what it ought to look like. It just looks like this. It looks like a quiche basically. So we've got 30 minutes. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like in 30 minutes time. Well, in fact, I don't really need to because you've seen it. I don't know if I'll bother actually because you have seen it on the Padlet. But I've got nothing else that I need to record today. So yeah, I will. I'll hang on to this recording because on the other hand I'm making other stuff. I've got cauliflower cheese boiling. I'm just about to make a raspberry bakewell cake and then a chocolate meringue gatto. Then I can go and do the ironing and then I can have a lie down. Meanwhile, I'm putting my apricot and hazelnut stuffing without the hazelnuts because one of the girls is allergic. Hazelnut and apricot stuffing is just going into the oven. I'm cooking it now and then I'll just reheat it tomorrow. Again, my son's favourite, and I used to make it just for the children to have as sandwiches. They didn't really care about the turkey or any of that nonsense. Give me some stuffing. So apricot and hazelnut, I can recommend it. Okay, so I'll see you in half an hour or so when this is done. Well, the break that ensued while that was cooking was wonderful because I had sit down, something to eat and a bit of a relax. So this is the finished object. Now, as you know, mine's not loose bottomed. I'm going to leave it to get completely cold in there, and then I will, hold on, then I will, why isn't that doing what I want it to do? What's wrong with this machine? Then I will turn it over and turn it out again when it's completely cold, which is what I did the other day, and it worked really well. So I could put it on a plate to serve it rather than cutting into my tin, although I do have the marvellous plastic knife which won't cut my tin, but I'd rather not serve it in a tin, I'd rather serve it on a plate. So there it is, that's your salmon and watercress or whatever flan. Mine took longer mine took just about 40 minutes, in fact 30 minutes didn't cut it. No idea why, but it took a bit longer, but I just kept turning it round. Actually what happened was it was browning one side and not the other, so I kept turning it round and it was fine. So just wait till it's all golden like what this one is. I'll show you again what it looks like. I think, yes. So there we are, it's all golden except the very tiny bit in the middle. It looks absolutely delicious, and there it is, salmon and watercress tart. Okay, hope you have, or flan I should say. Hope you have a go and I hope you enjoy it. Bye.